This is the Eastern Idaho Weather Hazard Briefing for Friday, October the 24th. Key points to go through is that we're still expecting dry conditions and light winds today. However, our next storm system is getting ready to move into the area, and this will bring 2 rounds of precipitation to the region this weekend. First round arrives on Saturday, and then we're looking at a little bit of a break there late Saturday night going into Sunday, and then we'll have another round that'll arrive Sunday night, and that'll continue into Monday. We are still looking at some heavy snow accumulations possible throughout the entire event, but that'll be mainly above 7,000 feet, we think. Although there could still be some minor accumulations possible for the highlands and maybe into the Snake Plain as well. That will once again be mainly above 6,000 feet where those minor accumulations will be found. So looking at our weather risk outlook, we're seeing on Saturday with the first round, maybe that's not going to be quite as impactful as earlier thought. We do think there will be some significant snow up on Galena Summit. But then with that break that we're expecting in there late Saturday night and Sunday, that might help the impacts a little bit. But we do still expect another round of snow, potentially heavy snow, for Sunday night into Monday. Current satellite image across the region looks at mostly clear skies. And high temperatures today, once again, pretty seasonable, generally sitting right around 60 degrees for many locations. Peak wind gusts this afternoon, starting to pick up a little bit in the central mountains, but most areas will remain pretty light again once again today. And then humidity levels today generally in the 30s to right around 40% or so. Low temperatures tonight will be falling back into the 30s and 40s area wide. And then high temperatures for tomorrow are expected to be right around 60 degrees or so. Chances of precipitation for tomorrow. You see best precipitation chances are up in the central mountains. Late in the afternoon, we could start seeing some of that precipitation try to move out of there and into the Snake Plain and eastern highlands. Expected rainfall amounts, rainfall equivalent amounts tomorrow, generally expect to be a 1/4 inch to maybe as much as a 1/2 inch in some portions. And you see here the snowfall tomorrow, very, very high, looking at basically higher elevations, above 7,000 feet easily. Galena Summit could get 2 to 3 inches though. Peak wind gusts tomorrow will be breezy across the portions of the central mountains where we could see 25 to 35 mile per hour gusts in many locations. And then we could see those gusts as well out into the Snake Plain and eastern highlands during the day tomorrow. Minimum humidities tomorrow generally ranging from the 30s in the southeastern highlands up to 60-70% up in the central mountains. And then low temperatures tomorrow night sitting right around freezing in the Snake Plain and eastern Idaho, but well below freezing in the central mountains. And you're looking at chances of precipitation pretty high tomorrow night as we get that first round that swings through here. Rainfall amounts for tomorrow night, better rainfall amounts will be found mainly out across the eastern highlands where up to a 1/4 inch of rainfall is possible. And then expected snowfall for tomorrow night, looking at additional 1 to 2 inches in Stanley, maybe 3 to 4 inches near Galena Summit. Peak wind gusts for tomorrow night, still rather breezy with some 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts likely in many locations. And then as we move into Sunday, once again, we're expecting a bit of a break in here. There will still be some showers around, but there will be a lot of dry time around as well, we think. And then looking at our high temperatures, generally expected to range from the upper 30s to upper 40s across the region. And precipitation chances, they tend to be highest in the eastern highlands where a little bit of that rainfall and snowfall will be moving out in the morning. And then in the central mountains again where there's a timing issue of when the next wave starts to move in there later in the afternoon. And then across central Idaho and the Snake Plain, we're probably setting about a 40 to 50% chance. It really kind of depends on how showery things get Sunday. And here you can see what we're talking about here in the rainfall equivalent amounts, really in the Snake Plain, looking at probably less than 1/10 of an inch of liquid. And then as we go into Sunday, expected snowfall generally looking at 1 to 2 inches up along Galena Summit, maybe some higher amounts up in the Sawtooth areas, But we do start seeing the snow levels coming down to about 6,000 feet, and that's where we could start seeing some snow in the eastern highlands as well. And then peak wind gusts Sunday afternoon, still looking to be right around 20 to 25 miles per hour or so. Humidity levels, with all the moisture around, as you might expect, the humidity levels pretty high on Sunday. And then as we go into Sunday night, you see temperatures slipping back below freezing. So any moisture that happens to be on the roads will probably refreeze Sunday night. And then chances of precipitation look pretty high Sunday night as we see that next surge of moisture move up and through the region. Although it's not a whole lot of moisture, at least not in the Snake Plain and southeast Idaho. But, up in the Stanley area, you could see an additional rainfall equivalent of 1/4 of an inch or so. And that would equate out to be an additional 2 to 4 inches for Stanley and Galena Summit. Higher amounts up into the Sawtooths with 1 to 2 inches possible in Ketchum. And then in our eastern highlands, an additional 1 to 2 inches in that way, over that way. And you start seeing over by Rexburg, there could be a little bit of light snow around Sunday night. And then equivalent snowfall, rainfall, melted amounts here for the entire event throughout the whole weekend is still rather impressive. You could see up to about 1/4 inch in the Snake Plain, potentially up to 3/4 of an inch in the eastern highlands, and 1 inch to 1.25 inches in the central mountains. So a pretty good dose of moisture moving through the region. It's just not all coming at once. It's coming in 2 separate batches. And then our expected snowfall amounts for the entire event still look pretty impressive. It's just we have a pretty sizable break in there during the day on Sunday. So when you add both of the events combined together, it ends up being quite impressive, especially up in the central mountains. And then even in the Island Park over area, you could see 3 to 4 inches throughout the whole thing. But once again, it's broken up between the 2 separate days. So just to summarize, dry conditions and light winds today, 2 rounds of precipitation for the weekend, and then heavy snowfall still possible across the central mountains above 7,000 feet. And we are still looking at some minor accumulations possible for the highlands and possibly into the Snake Plain, although the better accumulations in those areas will probably be up above 6,000 feet. So that concludes this morning's briefing, and if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to us. Thank you very much. Have a good day.